Hello, my name is Daniel Rosenthal. It's been quite some time since I've made a video, so I'm just going to go over the book of Jonah live. And the word came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and proclaim against it, for their evil has come before me. So Jonah apparently is in Israel, and Nineveh is, I believe, in Iran. So we're going to see how he's going to get there. And Jonah arose to flee to Tarish from before the Lord. He went down to Jaffa, found a ship going to Tarish, Tasharish, which I'm not sure what that is. It could be somewhere in Europe, seemingly the opposite direction of Nineveh. Paid his hire and went down into to come to them before to the Tar ship from before the Lord. So Nineveh, Jonah does not want to do the task. He doesn't want to go to Nineveh as God told him to go. Now the Lord cast a mighty wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, and the ship threatened to be broken up. And the sailors were frightened, and each one cried out to his God, and they cast the cargo that was in the ship into the sea to lighten it for them. And Jonah went down to the ship's hold, lay down, and fell fast asleep. Now, there's a standard idea in Judaism. Well, I don't know if it's standard, how many people know it, but every prophet, Navi, had his, or and there's also females, had his or her nevuah while sleeping or in a dreamlike state, except for Moses Rabbeinu. So the fact that he's falling asleep here in the hold of the ship, maybe he's going into like his nevuah trance or mode, and the rest of the words on the page could be understood as his God influenced dream, meaning we don't necessarily have to believe that everything happened that we're about to read is actually what happened. It could be the visions that he saw while he was sleeping that God, I guess, provided him. So you could argue that this is actually the rest of what we're about to say happens inside of a dream, a prophetic dream, which means that it's going to be true. All the words that we're going to read are true according to the way Jewish teachings are about prophets, true prophets. And the sailors were frightened, and each one of them cried out to his God, and they cast the ship car. Okay, I said that. That's verse 5. And the captain approached him and said, Why do you sleep? Get out, call up to your God. Perhaps God will think about us and we will not perish. So the sailors on the ship and the captain all seem to have their own gods, and here it's seemingly understood that they seem to understand that this person on the ship who's asleep, which is Jonah, has a different God than the people that are trying to do their best to lighten the load of the ship and also pray to their gods. And they said each one to his fellow, Come, let's do lots, so we'll know because of whom the evil has befallen us. So they cast lots, and the lots fell upon Jonah. Now, this idea of lots is found in the Torah, and it's also mentioned in Purim. Purim itself means lots, so it's some sort of kind of like almost like a roulette, like it's a roulette wheel, and it uses a plural version of lots because they figured out that, like, okay, it could fall on a person once, and that's just like, but we're going to try again. And seemingly every time they did this lottery system, this Purim, it kept on falling on Jonah. But it seemed that the captain already kind of understood that it was Jonah, so I'm not really sure why they needed to do the lots, but maybe they just wanted to be absolutely sure. But that's also kind of using, so does chance fall in with the system of God? Because in the end of the day, God's involved in all this. So the fact that it keeps on falling on Jonah indicates that obviously it's not luck, as we would call it. He really is the one who's the one supposed to be doing his duty, and he's not doing his duty. So that's why all this mayhem is falling all around him, and including, and this is what he said. Tell us, and they said to him, because they understood that it's because of Jonah that the storm is happening. Tell us now, because of whom this evil has befallen us. What is your work, and where do you come? What is your land, and from what people are you? Now, they picked him up in Jaffa, so it doesn't mean that they necessarily knew that he was from the land of Canaan / Israel. And does he look Jewish, whatever that means? Because obviously there's no such thing as a Jewish look. It's just like, what, do you believe in the Jewish beliefs or not? And how much do you believe in them, and how you practice them? But if your mom's Jewish or you convert to Judaism, then you're Jewish. It has nothing to do with what you look like. So as we see, it seems that they don't know that he's a Hebrew or Jewish. So this is what he says. And he said to them, I am a Hebrew. So there he's declaring who he is. And Ivri means he's connecting to Avram Avinu, because Avram is an Ivri. The first one, the Torah called Ephraim, means it's like the other side of the river being a spiritual river, as almost all the commentators in the Torah indicate, and this river being that on one side is monotheism and the other side is pagan beliefs, which we see on the ship as well, because on the ship all these people are praying to their various gods and it's not working. And I fear the Lord God of heaven who made the sea and the dry land. So Jonah's teaching them a little bit about who his God is, because they believe in their own gods. And he's saying, no, my God's like above all your gods. It's the creator of the heaven and earth, and also the seas and the dry land. And the men were very frightened. They said to him, what is this that you have done? For the men knew that he was fleeing before the Lord because of what he had told them. So they started to believe what he's saying. They're like, oh, this guy really is connected to the real God. And that's why all this is really happening. And they said to you, what shall we do to you so that the sea would subside from upon us, since the sea is becoming stormier? And he said to them, pick me up and cast me into the sea, so the sea may subside from upon you. And I know that because of me, this mighty tempest is upon you. Now he's taking responsibility, but he wants to be killed. He doesn't want to change his ways. That he doesn't want to ask God to actually make the sea go down. He wants to be thrown overboard, which is wild, because Jews are not supposed to commit suicide. Now, you are allowed to become a martyr for 3 different reasons, which I won't go into, and you can ask your local rabbi, but there are 3 instances in which you can, I guess, take your own life, or say you're going to die for God, but this is not one of the 3, so because he's not being asked to worship idols or having illicit relations, and I'm not sure what the 3rd one is, but the bottom line is he's praying to God. It's just he doesn't want to do what he's supposed to do. So this is a very strange story already all around. And the men rowed vigorously to return the dry land, but they could not, because the sea was becoming stormy upon them. And they called to the Lord. So here they are. These people in the ship are all of a sudden calling out to God and said, please, O Lord, let us not perish for the life of this man. Do not place upon us innocent blood upon you, O Lord, as you wish you have done. And they picked up Jonah and cast him to the sea, and the sea ceased storming, and the men feared the Lord exceedingly, and they made sacrifices to the Lord and made vows. Now, according to the commentators, they didn't actually make sacrifices on the ship itself, but they kind of made vows that when they got to land, they would change their lives to worship the God of the Hebrews, which would be, the what Jews consider to be the true God, which would be Yud Keh Vav Keh, and Elohim. So they're converting to Judaism, as most Meforshim indicate. And that's the first 16 verses, and we're going to stop for now.